So, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's evening where my guest is tonight. I'm Ahriana Platten, your host for Soul Talk Tuesday, and so excited tonight to have my wonderful Happy Philanthropist friend
Yes,
from all the way down in South Africa. And it's 10 o'clock there, isn't it, Andrew? In the evening.
yes, yeah, but that's kind of early for us happy types.
So, um, you and I have known each other for several years now, and we met in kind of an interesting way. We met because you found out you had to come to America, and a friend of yours
Yes,
was a friend of mine who called me and said, "This guy has to come to the United States and he needs to meet people in the faith world. Can you help him?" And I said, "Sure." And that was the beginning of a lifelong awesome.
absolutely, absolutely.
So, can you talk a little bit? Will you tell us a little bit about that, where you were in your life and what was happening for you when that began, and then we'll move on to what's happened since then.
Okay. Well, thank you. I feel deeply honored to hang out with you, Ariana. You are a shining light on this planet, and it's a great honor to know you. Very generous soul. So let my eyes now wander to the left and scan for the information that happened in the past. I've been in ministry since I was 16 years old. So I'm 47 now, I think. I love getting older. Um, but for at least 20 years of my time in ministry, I was very sad, very depressed. 15 years severe depression, 10 years suicidal depression. Um, and that was, I'm a go-getter. Always been very ambitious, and even in achieving my dreams and my goals, I still felt uh, frustrated all the time. I felt broken. I was a broken thing. And I think I was around about 42 years old. So that's a long time of full-time ministry. When I had planned my suicide for the 19th of February 2015. And on that day, I heard a voice, and I thought, that's it, psychosis has set in. It's I'm hearing voices now, I'm going nuts. But the voice said that I passed my tests, whatever those were, because all the way through my depression, I was really still serving God with all my heart. I was still going to the poor, crazy and ambitious, but I was broken. Anybody who's been through depression knows it's like a blanket over your soul. It is a deep, deep hole where people can be kind to you. They can be loving. And I was blessed. People were nice to me and kind, but it all turned to ashes in my mouth. Your taste buds, your emotional taste buds, everything just turns to ashes. That's one of my great passions has been since then, really, to just tell people to love on those who are in depression. You have no idea what a terrible, terrible hole it is. Anyway, so this voice said that I passed my test, and that was the 19th of February, 2015, and it said that I needed to be in New York on the 4th of March. And I was like, that's not going to work for me because I'm dying today. Because I thought I've lost my mind, which I still believe.
I feel bad laughing because that should not be funny, right? It's just
Yeah.
what happened after that.
Yes. And it's incredible what happened next. I honestly, before I continue, can tell you that I feel like I did die and I went to heaven. And this is a new heaven and a new earth for me. My life changed so dramatically. And it's just a quick moment to say to anybody who's going through depression, everything can change in a moment. In a moment. Don't give up hope. A moment, just one moment. After, the Bible says sorrow may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning. That can be a long night, but in one moment, everything can change. So what happened was Obviously, that hadn't changed my plans. I just thought I've gone nuts. I want to hear the voice of God, so my imagination's conjuring this up. And I got the first phone call, which said, listen, tell your God to leave me alone. I've bought the airplane ticket. So someone had a dream. They heard a voice telling them the whole time they got to buy this airplane ticket. And I had a business class return flight to New York from South Africa waiting for me. And then one after the other that night, deposits into a bank account. I had my affairs in order to go. And that meant I didn't have a bank account. So, I mean, it's in my wife's bank account. Someone actually brought cash. Yeah. And that meant I had money for the trip. I had my flight paid for. I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing. I just knew that I had to be in New York on the 4th. Sorry, this is Jeeves. Let me see. I don't know if the light is going to allow us. Hey, Jeeves, say hi to everybody. And Jeeves is going to bug us now, but we will get through this. So I landed in New York. Just a little, to get a visa to America from South Africa when you don't have a bank account, you don't know why you're going. It's virtually impossible. I mean, they sent me to window 12 here in the embassy. I mean, when I went to get my visa and they asked me, why are you going? And I said, I have no idea. They said, well, what you going to do there? No idea. Well, why are you going? God told me to. God looks at me like, what is wrong with you, sir? But then he said, well, what do you do for a living? I said, economic rural development. I specialize in teaching the poor how to survive. And I'm sorry, I just need to look after this dog, which you'll all have to forgive me. The moment he hears me talking to somebody, he will start barking and scratching. He's really old, and I've got to love him. But I'll continue talking while I help Jeeves out. So what happened next was I got my 10-year visa from this guy. I said, well, I hope you move to the States. We need someone like you there. Landed there, and I started ministering on depression. I tried to do, Ahriana, you saw me try to do my old style of ministry where I was doing the loud music and, but that opened doors, I guess, but what really opened doors was I was ministering on depression. So there I was, not knowing if I was still suicidal or not, but just sharing vision and ministering on depression. Long story short, I ministered almost every day, went to so many different states in America, saw acceptance and love like I had rarely seen. In South Africa, I had suffered such persecution because I've always preached against racism here. It's a big challenge in South Africa. Worked aggressively to curb poverty and just saw little to no results. I was able to make lots of religious disciples, but I was almost unsuccessful in producing compassionate disciples. And I'm sorry, we're going to go for a walk because I can't get this thing open with one hand. So when I got to the States, what healed me was people like Ahriana that I met and experienced spectacular compassion from. People who just inspired me to live again, and I learned that God uses people, where my belief system for so long was that you don't need people, you just need God. I even preached that like a fool. And I started learning that, God sent Jesus as a man. Jesus sent the disciples out as men, as humans. Men and women went out. The promise in Acts chapter 2 with the outpouring of the Holy Spirit was that sons and daughters would do incredible things. The result of the outpouring of that Spirit was people sold everything they had and made sure there was no lack among them. I had such a revelation while I was there in the States about the importance of who God can put in your life that it healed me so much. And well, that's up until that point in the story, until I went home. So I don't know if you want to, if you have any comments before I speak about the dreams.
So, as I said, a friend reached out to me and said, this guy has to come to the United States and he needs to meet faith leaders and find his way around. And is there anything you can do? And I said, yeah, let's get on the phone. And we talked, and we made the arrangements so you could come here, and you talked both at Unity Spiritual Center, where I'm the minister, and you spoke also at Sanctuary Church, where
the incredible Dr. E. Yeah.
And we just had a blast together. We had such a good time, and talked about all kinds of things. Talked about overcoming, about
Yes.
how that could happen and what was happening for you, and also talked about some of the work that you've been trying to do and the work that you wanted to do.
Yes.
And then you went back home, and presumably back to doing things in Africa. And we said hello every once in a while on Facebook. But the world changed dramatically for you because you started getting messages. So talk a little bit about what happened with that.
So I was still kind of on the roller coaster, the emotional roller coaster. But we had cultivated such wonderful relationships with you, with Dr. E, with some folks in Florida, in Fort Walton Beach area, with some wonderful people in Nashville, Franklin, Tennessee, and doors that opened for us to move to the United States. And I thought, what a wonderful change of life, where people actually want to hear what I have to say. And we started talking to some folks that side, and wonderful things were set up where people were willing to offer salaries, homes, like a real change of pace. And we were ready to go. And suddenly, my psychosis really kicked in. The voices started increasing, and I started having these dreams. And I had a dream where I won't go into detail, but I saw the ultimate manifestation of a place that could look after 14,000 children a day. Come fetch them after school, bring them, feed them, clothe them. And that's what I saw in the dream. And then I had 333 consecutive dreams like that afterwards, which I recorded all of them. And I thought, you know what? I've lost my mind, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm just going to record this, and I'm going to share it on social media like a crazy person. And the stuff is hardcore. No one's going to like me. But the whole time I just had this idea in my head that I'm dead anyway. I don't need the church to like me anymore. I don't need anybody to like me anymore. If this is God speaking, I'm going to listen. And it just drove me to the teachings of Jesus. Now, I never thought that I'd ignored the teachings of Jesus, but I realized when one of the instructions in the dreams was that I would stay on one piece of land for 17 years and listen to the teachings of Jesus for 3 hours every single day. And the actual words of Jesus changed me so profoundly, because today, as I said speaking to you, it's been almost 4 years since I made this covenant. I haven't left the land once. I haven't, not for a dentist, not for a can of Coke across the road. I've stayed on this one piece of land, and I have stuck to this commitment where I'm in worship for 3 hours every day. I'm in the words of Jesus for 3 hours a day, and in prayer for a minimum of 1 hour. So it's at least 7 hours each day that I've been in the presence of God, and I've been listening. I mean, we're always in the presence of God, but you know what I mean, the cliche presence of God. And I've been listening to the words of Jesus, and the teachings of Jesus changed us so dramatically. Not just me, but just about everybody in my life. We've gone from these frustrated, tired, you don't realize it, but you shift sometimes from ministry into ministry. Where, you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
Where the pressure to, I don't want to dishonor ministries, because I understand the pressure of, having to pay bills and then just focusing all the time, like everything you do. And I mean, Paul the Apostle talks about how, those who teach you are worthy of double honor. So it's not a thing of don't bless people, don't pay tithes, don't do this, don't do that. It's a matter of your motive swings, like the message changes because you're in a place of pressure and desperation. And I realized that I'd pastored churches and done things before this, and I realized that I'd left my first love, and I wasn't in love with his words. I would preach Jesus, like people say, I'm a Buddhist, but are they? There's this great Thor meme. I don't know if you've seen it, when he goes, but are you really? That springs to mind now about when people say they found a truth, but they don't really read the teachings. They just speak about the teacher. And in recording these dreams, living this life, living this covenant, it's been 4 years now. You can work it out to the day. I moved to the land on the 25th of September, 2016. And every day in the teachings of Jesus, listening to different interpretations, and just every single day, it's brought us to a place of such joy and freedom. We have this wonderful facility that's growing and growing and growing. We aren't at 14,000 yet, but I know 17 years will give us time to do that. Right now, we feed somewhere just over 1,000 kids or people a day. We're helping during lockdown now. We've been helping hundreds of families. We've got all the land is paid off. This 3 hectares on the river, miraculously. In the first year, it was paid off. We've got more and more infrastructure. We're helping more and more families. There are people staying on the land with us. It's just incredible. It's just we're broadcasting. When I moved here, I had no running water. My wife still lives in town now while we build out. No electricity. Lived in a little Cara camper, little thing with one bed and kind of a little trailer thing. And I had a little orange go-kart for a toilet, those little things that the construction company comes and fetches, and then they clean it and they bring a new one, and then once a week. And, so it was from the life that I was used to that life was, you'd expect it to feel like a sacrifice, but from day one, I felt like one of the last places we stayed in before we came here, because I came straight to the land from the States, was this.
From my house.
Yes, from your house.
House.
Yes.
We were the last stop on your second
yes.
United States, and you had brought Mandy with you. And so
yes.
Mark and I had a great time with you and your beloved wife. And then you left from here to go do this crazy thing.
Yes. Yes. And so we shifted from that travel life, that hotels, wonderful friends and guest houses and this. And I thought it was going to feel like a sacrifice, but that trailer felt like I moved into a mansion. It felt like, freedom itself is a house. It's peace is wealth, like you cannot believe. In these past 4 years, I have been in a place of such joy and freedom. I have not felt for one moment that I've made any kind of sacrifice. I feel like I did die, and this is heaven on earth. My marriage is incredible. We've got the most beautiful little girl. I mean, most beautiful. Her name's Ahava. It means love, and she is. I tell you, like the center of my universe is gratitude. I live in a space of gratitude. I was dead, but now I'm alive. And I'm so grateful for every person who is part of that journey, including and especially folks like the wonderful, wonderful senior priestess of the Church of Awesome, Ahriana. I still think we might do that one day.
Definitely in our future, Andrew. It's coming. I remember when you said to me, this is going to sound crazy, but just like God told me to come to the United States, God told me to go home, find a piece of land, and stay there for 17 years. So you have to come and see me next time because I'm going to be there for 17 years. And I can remember at the time thinking about the amount of faith that it would take, what it would take to make that commitment, to say, okay, if that's what you want of me, I will go and I will live on this land for 17 years. And I can remember seeing the pictures of the trailer, the caravan, the little tiny caravan, and you walked around the land with your phone and you showed me the land and the dogs walked with you. But it was hard. I mean, you say no sacrifice in freedom, but you gave up a lot because Mandy was still living in town.
She still is.
Yeah, so you were out there by yourself, still are out there for the most part by yourself, with now a different set of circumstances, but there was no infrastructure. There was nothing.
That's just a bush.
You didn't own it. You just said, okay, I don't know how this is going to happen, but we'd like to buy this piece of land. And then you started sharing your story. And tell me what happened then. How is it that you said it's all paid for? What happened?
Well, that's just as crazy as the rest of the story. First 3 months I was squatting. You know, the owner said you can stay here for 3 months with one eyebrow. Not a religious guy at all, not a kind fellow. He's just like, well, you know, if there's a chance you're going to buy it, you know, go for it. You just told me as a potential client, you know, someone is going to buy the land. And then at the end of the first 3 months, he called me and he said, what's going on? I said, well, I'm hoping something's coming through. I'll continue to pray. He says, well, okay, I can give you another 3 months, but after that, you'll have squatters' rights. So I'm telling you now, you must be out by, you know, he gave me the date for 3 months later. 10 days before the end of the 6 months that I'd been on the land, a random fellow comes walking onto the property, and his name is Etienne, and he says, listen, he had a dream that God wants to build his tabernacle here. And, you know, I thought that's strange. I'm not a shofar and, you know, twirly whirlies guy, you know, so when people say, you know, the words like tabernacle and stuff, I was always like, Thor again. This is really, and God, I mean, I've changed. I guess I'm a shofari guy now. I don't know, but I said, okay, cool. So he said he'll put down the first 100,000 rand, which is in dollars about, I'd say $6,000 or $7,000. He's a mercenary, and he just said he had this dream, and I said, well, Lord, that's nice. I've got 10 days to go. You know, I'm a little shy of the 1.5 million rand, which is somewhere over $100,000 for this piece of land. It was 3 million, and he dropped his price to the original. He sold it exactly for what he bought it for in the end, the owner. So I had this 100,000 rand, so I didn't know what to do. So I phoned a friend of mine who I knew had no money, or thought had no money, and I said, listen, you've done business and stuff. I don't even, you know, I don't even have I got like nothing in my bank account, but suddenly I've got 100,000 rand in my account. How are we going to buy this land? Do we go to a bank? What do we do? Because I don't have income. I've given up everything. I've been in a caravan for 6 months. There's no 3 months of bank statements. Yeah. So he said, well, okay, let me give him a call. So he gave the owner a call. And then 40 minutes or so later, he called me back, says, okay, this is what we're going to do. I've come into a little bit of money, so I'll add 100,000 to this thing. I mean, he just came into a little bit of money, like the day before. And he said, okay, I'll add 100,000 rand, you know, $10,000 this, and I will commit to pay 50,000 rand a month to pay off half of the land for the next year. The owners agreed to that we'll pay the rest. And he said, you've got the faith to make sure that the rest comes in. So I was like, cool. Everything I tried to get the other half of that money failed for an entire year. I prayed and wailed and asked, and nothing happened until somebody who I thought would never, ever in a million years help us had a dream. Sold their house and gave us the profit. And it was exactly the amount needed to pay off the land in the first year. And then it's just been going like that the whole time. It's just continuous, just miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle.
So do you believe in your dreams a little bit more strongly than you used to?
I think I'm dead. That's how much I believe in these dreams. I think I've entered it's like that guy died and entered a realm where this stuff is true, where dreams and angels. So in the dreams, I saw angels and the seven spirits of God. And, you know, I feel like I left. It's like I remember that guy. I remember him, that dead guy, that angry guy, that frustrated guy. And this spirit that is in my body now comes from that world where it's real. Because everything that was spoken in those dreams happens 3 years sequentially to the day. Every single prophecy, including President of the United States, of South Africa, massive things happening in particular cities, every single thing, little prophecy in the dreams, every instruction, all of it came true. If you do this, this will happen. If you don't do it, this will happen. All of those things. So now, it took 3 or 4 years, well, 3 years, I think, for me to believe that the dreams were true. I wrote them down just out of sheer discipline and peer pressure, thanks to my wonderful friends. And I've gotten to a place now where I don't care if they're true or not anymore. I record them, I do what they say, because I've seen the fruit in my life and the lives of others. Yeah. It's really true that we're not of this world. Once you shift from the flesh to the spirit, you're just an alien. You look at people who walk around in the darkness. You know, Jesus only compares himself to one God ever. He only mentions one competition for God, not the devil. He just tells the devil it is written. The only competition he ever mentions is the love of money, mammon. And you don't realize that your need to drive that particular thing, your need to live in that particular thing, and your need to wear that particular thing, to have a high-end TV instead of just a cheap one that does the same job, is the same size, that need, you don't realize how that need brings destruction. How it, you know, that little ambition, that need to, sometimes I don't know if it's a need or more of a compulsion from living in a world that you don't understand. It becomes a God without you knowing it, and it is a vicious God. It is a heartless God. It's, you know, when you live in that dog-eat-dog world, the top dog is still a dog. When you're in the rat race, the winning rat is still a rat. You know, you don't realize you're a rat, and you don't realize you're a dog. And Jesus actually called us dogs, you know. The term nephesh, which describes the human soul, describes our self-preservation nature, that before we change, before we become spiritual, we are actually like dogs. We are fiercely territorial. We are loyal to packs. We are greedy at the feeding trough, you know. We love who feeds us. Our loyalty goes to the one who feeds us and pets us, and our hatred goes to those who compete for, who we view as competition for affection and love. And I realized that even as a minister, I was a dog. And when you shift from a dog to a son of heaven, there's no competition anymore. There's no ambition anymore. All you want to do is wipe out poverty. That's all you care about, those who have less than you. Because that's the question that I get asked often. How do you define poverty? Anybody who has something who does not have something that you do. If they have less than you have an opportunity to help them. So, if you're even slightly wealthy and someone can't afford a nice fridge and you can, buy them the fridge. It's when you shift from dog to son, I've learned that I have access to my father's fridge. I can walk into the kitchen, jump up and put my bum on the counter, pour myself a glass of milk, drink it. And even if my father, or even drink out of the carton, and my father says, "Hey, don't do that," I'm not rejected. It's just that I now own the carton and a rebuke. But you learn that failure and rejection don't mean expulsion. You learn to love. Every day when I do the wisdom sessions every day, and every day I ask everybody to say, I love correction, I love instruction. I love correction, I love instruction. You learn to love things that you hated, where my ego was Mount Rushmore.
I noticed that when you were here, honestly. I didn't feel that way.
Well, I think by the time I'd met you, I'd taken enough of a beating that I was just happy to meet friendly and kind people. But that gratitude, even when I met you, I was still, the first time I came to the States, I still had this inner battle to try and figure out what is a good man, because a lot of people do big things, but they've got small minds. They do whole things, but they're broken. And doing those whole things, they benefit mankind. They do wonderful things for mankind, but they themselves are these train wrecks that are just on rails. The only thing about them that works is the wheels, and I think, you don't realize it, but there's a combination of you and a couple of other folks that I met that side, but you don't realize how your kindness was able to break through my professional face. When someone's been in ministry for a long time, you become professional. You got a professional face. You cry in the back office and come outside. Hey, good to see you. Hi, how are you? Meanwhile, your world is falling apart. But it was incredible. Well, let's get real about something. When you've done a lot for people and you're so shocked when others will do something for you.
Yeah.
You just don't know what to do with it. Like I remember you were paying for me to stay in that little hotel, that beautiful little, was it a guest house or a hotel? I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Airbnb. Yeah.
Is it? Oh, not the Airbnb, the first time I came.
The hotel. Yeah. Hotel. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, what a massive sacrifice this must be. And it was like, you just kept me there. I was just meeting people, and you just kept me in that place for, I don't know, a week or something. I don't know. It was, or longer. I can't remember. But I kept thinking, what is going on? When is this going to end? When is she going to say, okay, thank you, goodbye? And you just never did. You just, no, we've done that. My wife and I, at great expense and sacrifice, have done it for so many people. We've opened up our house. We've paid for people to, and when it happens to you, it's, I'm just being honest now. You don't know what to do. You don't know what's going on. Are there other people? Because you don't want to think of yourself as I'm the only kind person on the planet. That's not what I'm talking about. It's just, I mean, I know you're gonna have to help me with your thoughts on that subject.
Well, so first of all, what comes to me as you're speaking is that it's much easier to give than it is to receive. We are much better. There's a good feeling that comes when you're doing something for someone. And so people who are called into ministry or into service tend to be people who do things for other people. It's natural for us, and it's actually very satisfying. With you, it was really easy because you were funny and fun, and you were on spiritual adventure. God sent you, and I knew that. I believed that from the first time I talked to you. So there wasn't any question for me that you had a sincere heart. And that's really all I needed to know, that you had a sincere heart. And so who knew what God was going to tell you, but you were going to come and we were going to find out. And for whatever reason, of all the millions of people on the planet, I got the message that you needed to come. So, okay, this must be mine to do. As I listen to you, and I think back on that first trip, which was so much about figuring out what you were, for you, so much about I'll teach what I've taught. I'm not quite sure why I'm here or what I'm doing. If you had not come here and learned to receive, would you have been able to go back to the land later on and wait to receive? Would you have had any faith or any confidence that you could have received if you had not had that happen, not only with me, but with other people here? And I marvel a little bit at the conditioning that was made available to you to trust that your needs would be met. So,
that is profound.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah, you're right. It takes, God knew exactly who would make me feel safe to receive. Because also, Africa, you've ministered in Africa, it's a minefield of corruption, emotion. People do take advantage of you. Even when they help you, there's always agendas. When I say always, I'm not exaggerating. There's let's make it a firm 99%. For someone to just love you without expecting return, because there's so much need here. It's so we do the same for a lot of people here right now, and I watch them go through what I went through when I was with you and many of the other wonderful people in the States. And you're so right. Like, it put me in a position where I felt from when I was in the Caribbean, I knew that God would take care of me, and I knew He'd take care of me through people who loved me, who wouldn't expect anything back. I could say, listen, this is what I'm doing. I need help. And I think what God did was, in Florida, stayed for a month, maybe a month and a half, with this guy called Joe. I mean, his shaven head, long dark beard, hardcore minister dude, and the guy just drove me everywhere, and I was like, what is going on? So you're right. It does prepare you. Like, God will have this moment with you where he says, look, I'm gonna ask you to do something big, but I'm going to put something in your character that you feel safe.
yeah.
And really, because it was great for me. After that, you and I would chat every now and then, and we wouldn't necessarily chat about anything deep, but I had friends. Having friends in ministry is hard.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And also, the good friends that you have in ministry understand things that no one else will understand. Because it's a very unique, it's like being a doctor or being a police officer or being in those very unique service-oriented fields.
Yes.
There are things that are true about this work. Like when you say, sometimes you have to go behind the door and have your tears because there's something happening in your life, and then take a deep breath and wipe your tears away and open the door and say, come in, how can I help you? And somehow Spirit gives you what you need to do that job. Like, you have the ability. It's not disingenuous. You genuinely have the help to move what is going on for you out of the way so that you can do the next thing. And your doctors have to do that all the time. You know, they have to, who cares what's going on in your doctor's life? If you're sick, you can
Yes.
getting well. If you go to your minister, you go to your minister because you need something. And so when you have friends in ministry, there are things that you understand, things that you appreciate. You know, when I said to you that the understanding that your heart was sincere, like, I can't tell you what God is telling you. I can't tell you whether your dreams are authentic or psychosis. I don't know. What I can tell you, and what I could tell you then, was that your heart was following what you believed to be true. And that combined with the fact that of millions and billions, 7 billion to be exact, other people on the planet who could have been called for one reason or another to say, Andrew needs to come to the United States, I got the call. So, okay, I'm all in. Let's see what this is about. How fun is this? It also probably helped that both Mark and I have spent a tremendous amount of time traveling internationally. So we appreciate the opportunity to interact with people from other places on the planet and citizens of the world as far as that goes, because of our history. So it didn't feel like bringing in someone from outside our scope. It just felt like, oh, there's this new friend coming from Africa. How fun is that? And we had a blast with you. And we talked about real stuff, Andrew. We talked about the depression. We talked about what you were teaching. We talked about your own challenges in teaching and growing at the same time. You were honest with us then about your tendency towards suicidal thought and what was happening for you. We talked about your frustration with the world, that people were starving and no one seemed to care. And we talked about what it would mean to be able to feed people, and how there could be such a brilliant amount of resource available in the United States, and yet the world was struggling. And what it would take to change the culture here for the world, for the United States to understand its ability to change life in a global way. And so all of those things have stayed with me. A lot of the work that Mark and I are doing now stem from and originated during those conversations that you and I had. So it's not been a one-sided gift at all. Your friendship with us has touched us in profound ways. And the number of times that I think in my own head, yeah, God, you're asking a lot. Except you didn't ask me to do what Andrew has to do, so thank you. I don't have to live in one place for 17 years. And I don't mean that in a like, oh gosh, it's terrible what you have to do way. I mean that I don't know that I have the level of strength that you have. It's a tremendous commitment. 17 years to be in one place, to stay on that property, to be in prayer all of those hours, to feed people and care for people and educate students, and every day to wake up knowing my work today is to make sure these people are fed on every level, that they're not only is their body nourished, but that their soul is nourished at the same time. It's so admirable. Sounds like such a trite word. It's just, as I get older in life, I think that character becomes very important. The character that it takes to be the man of God that you are, to follow and to listen and to pray and to do, and not just for you, but for your wife and for your family, because this is not like, oh, by the way, You know, I think about Amanda. She, your beautiful wife, who I adore and miss and can't wait to see again. She had to tell her parents. Like she had to tell her folks, yeah, my husband, he's going to live on this land away from me for 17 years. And she had to have that conversation. And whatever that conversation was, she had to express her own faith in you and her faith in God and her agreement to these things. And then in the middle of all of that, you adopted a beautiful baby girl, right?
Yes.
All of that. So, and what a beauty she is. What a beauty she is. And
I'm a proud papa.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, I, you know, as because this is something I want anybody who listens to know about their callings. It might look hard for others, but God will prepare you perfectly. I mean, this is, you know, everything I didn't think I would enjoy, I love. Like, I didn't think I'd enjoy routine. My day is exactly the same every day. I love it. I have my prayer time. I sleep very little. Maybe God's preparing me for Asia. So you guys in Asia, by the time I get there, I'm going to be a brother. You know, because you know, like I understand this long working hours, but it's like my life moves 3 hours at a time. You know, and I look forward to the next 3 hours, and then I look forward. It's like those 3 hours, the words Jesus. Then there's 3 hours in worship, and then there's between 1 and 3, maybe even more hours in prayer, and then there's 3 hours of rest. And you know, I'm just, you know, sometimes 3, 4, 5 hours of rest, depends on our time. Then there's you know, 1 hour with community, 2 hours with wife and kitty every day. 3 hours again, 3 o'clock. It's time to go and minister every day. Then that's around about 3 hours with setup and ministry, and then I'll play games or watch series for 3 hours to recharge every night, and then have a little bit of rest, and then it starts again 1 o'clock or so in the morning. My prayer starts again, and you know, then it's 3 hours. So where I used to look forward to, you know, this goal in 5 years, and you're frustrated, you know, because you can't get that thing done now. Now I'm so grateful for the 3 hours I'm in, and I'm excited about the next 3 hours that are to come. I literally feel like I died, and I was, this new spirit came in, a new heaven and new earth. My world has been shaken. If you can be obedient to what the Holy Spirit is saying to you, to what you hear God saying, it will sound ridiculous, but I'm telling you, do it. I got friends who, they watched all of this and they said, listen, God has told us to give our house to a barista, that guy who makes coffee, paid off house, their inheritance. And I said, well, don't look at me. He didn't speak to me. He spoke to you, you know. And they said, yeah, but what is it like? I said, it works like this. I don't look forward to the fruit. I look forward to the instruction. I look forward to the next instruction. I don't care if the instruction works out. My joy is in instruction. So if you give away your house and you end up living in a little flat for the next 20 years, or living with your mom, or struggling financially, celebrate this moment now, the power that you have over your flesh to give away something as comforting as a home, you know, as, you know, to give away something as stable, you know, because it's your home is really, it's a thing of stability and routine. And I said, just celebrate the fact that you are willing, even if you don't do it, just the fact that you're entertaining this thought. And then they did it, you know. This couple gave away their home to this barista, a guy who makes them coffee. They went to a restaurant and they just felt, and what it did was it changed who they are. It made them so much stronger and so much more fearless, because they gave up something that was this hook and this anchor. How many times have you driven in a paid-off vehicle and you feel God telling you, give it to that guy? and you just go, nah, that's not God, that's probably the devil. Here's something I'd like to tell: the devil will never tell you to give anything away. He comes to steal and kill and destroy, not bless. So so that the darkness is never going to tell you to do something that produces light. And if you have this unction, this feeling to give everything out of your cupboard, so that all you have is undies, you're just sitting there in your underwear hoping, you know, and you have to like go onto Facebook or whatever and say, guys, I got no clothes, could somebody please bring me, or phone a friend. You know, if you feel the unction, do it, because that is the greatest test of our life. The only competition for the spirit is selfishness. It's the only competition, the spirit of mammon. Once you get that thing out of your system, Jesus says, seek first the kingdom of God. When you think kingdom of God, because we've been taught about these, the word kingdom sounds like so despotish, you know, it sounds so dictatorish. But he explains what the kingdom is. It's righteousness and peace and joy in the Holy Ghost. The word righteous, tzedakah, it means generosity, charity, selflessness, justice. And when you enter the kingdom of God, you enter a place where your life is generosity, your life is joy, and your life is peace, and your ambition for others is generosity for them, to them, and through them. The argument that I have with many people, because we'll get like a lot of jackets in or stuff, and then a kid will come in and then want all these cool jackets, and instead of just wanting one, the kid will want like 5. So give the kid 5. Force him into a position where he's got more than he needs. Force him, like fill up that cupboard so that when somebody comes and asks him for one, he doesn't have an excuse. And next winter, if you know he's got 5, give him another 5. Let those jackets lie around the house until they spill out of the door. Like, be such a river in people's lives that even the selfish don't have an option but to change.
What a gift it is, too, to take someone who hasn't had something and give them enough that they get the experience of generosity. They can actually give themselves. That's a power. Again, if we've never had, we have to learn how to receive. When we have to learn how to give. All of those things make for a rounded, well-rounded soul, So you're doing incredible work, really incredible work. Can you talk a little bit about that right now, like where your kids come from and what you're doing for them, and how we can help you? What can we do to help you keep doing what you're doing?
Okay, well, we are in a 100-kilometer radius, which is how many miles? I don't know what that is in miles. Sorry, probably 80-something mile radius. So if you had to take a compass and draw a circle around us for, like 50 miles, let's say, in every direction, we are in the highest density poverty area in southern Africa, which is most of SADC, down from Nigeria, the highest density, high poverty area. So there are literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of children growing up who do not eat every day. So they're not starving, but they're not quite living either. So the region that we're in right here, so within say 5 miles of us, there's approximately 14 to 20,000 children under the age of 16 who, if they don't get food either at school or from us, they don't eat each day. They need school clothes, they need shoes, they live in little corrugated shacks. So we build even our home is being built out of corrugated iron and steel, so that we know what is needed in a shack. Even our where we minister, we build everything out of corrugated iron and stuff. So that it needs insulation. They don't have insulation. in the mornings. So I praise God. I got a ceiling now. Let's see, I got a ceiling. Thank you, Jesus. In the mornings in winter, when you live in a shack, the condensation drips on you because it freezes overnight and forms condensation. It freezes, it's like your breath turns to water and then it drips on you in the morning. Can you imagine being ice cold in the morning, waking up with that water dripping on you? The walls are so cold that you burn your hands when you touch them. That's the life. They don't have running water. They don't have toilets. They go in a bucket. They wash in a bucket. When we have camps here, I never thought that part of my vision would be to build as many showers as I can, because kids come in, never showered in their lives. 14, 15 years old, come here, never experienced. They've been in a cold bucket all of their lives. Come here, they'll stand under that hot shower and laugh. And to get them out of that shower, because, a geyser can only handle so much water. Then we fetch maybe 100 or 150 kids here, and they're just in that shower. And there's thousands of them. We can only help a few. And so right now, look, lockdown, we can't fetch anyone. So we're sending food like crazy. But when lockdown ends, our greatest need is a bus so that we can fetch them. That is, we can get one and fix it up. My dad's a very skilled mechanic. We can, for a 65 to 85 seater bus, for 300,000 rand. I don't know what that is in dollars, probably $20,000. It costs $10 to feed a family for a week. We put together these 180 rand packages, which is basically a survival package. It's just got enough for them to live. We don't put big packages because we'd rather feed more. So and they're grateful. People are so grateful for those packages. And we do it every day that we can. When we can't, I literally cry, because I'm aware of the amount of that we can't help. Building a little home for missionaries, for folks who that side, only costs 25 to 30,000 rand, which is like $1,500, I think. We can build a home, a little home. We need a overflow warehouse right now, because people are very generous. They're bringing us clothes. They're bringing us stuff. We've got nowhere to keep it. We need to build a warehouse. We need 130,000 rand for that. That's $8,000. I don't know. Anyway, so the two greatest ways to help us is money and manpower. We need missionaries who hear from God and will come down here with an attitude of getting their hands dirty, building, gardening, feeding. We don't have luxury for you. When you get here, you've got to make your own little home. Raise your own money and build your own little home. I'm sure someone will share with you and we'll throw a mattress somewhere. But we need people. The manpower that we're looking for is people like us who say, I'm not coming here for an experience. I'm coming here to sacrifice, because the joy is in the sacrifice. I'm coming here to make somebody else's life heaven, at least for a season. So our greatest needs are always money and manpower. We don't have 100 mouths to feed. We feed as much every day as money comes in. We don't plan for a month. So we don't say, well, $10,000 came in. We're going to feed 100 people for a month. We say we're going to feed as many people as we can today with $10,000. We go from day to day, so little partnerships, prayer. We need tons of prayer. We need people to think of us and meditate with us, Sorry, like Ahriana's not the only guru. I know I met one recently, full-on guru in India with a little a sniper pointer on his forehead. It's always a sniper. I told him this, dude, you must watch out. Then someone's going to pull that trigger one day. Luckily, he shares my sense of humor. So what does Jesus have to say about what you're joking now? What does Jesus have to say? So, but anyway, very cool guy. And what he does is he sits every day and meditates on the picture that we have to feed 14,000 children a day. He sits there and he says, I'll meditate thinking thoughts of prosperity for you and yours, and you pray. One of us is right. Anyway,
Sense.
come again.
Prayer in every sense. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me how you,
Yes,
or whether
just
you
pray.
with one face or a thousand faces doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that you open your heart and you pray for the good, for people to
Yes,
eat and be well and be cared for, and for the people who are doing that work to be strong and have their needs met, and to not get caught up in the idea that there's a judgmental God that's deciding whether your prayer is valid or not. To just
oh, that is so bad. You know, this to that point. You know, one of the most beautiful things I've learned, Ariana, is that God is love, and the center of love is honor, and honor is to do unto others as you would have done for yourself. And um, having listened to the words of Jesus now for almost 4 years, every day for them 3 hours, has given me a theological perspective of love. People who think that Jesus came to be a hardcore theologist miss that boat so far. That's why I say, you know, you're teaching Jesus, but are you listening to his teachings? You know, the core of it is love. In my dreams, and this is where I'll lose some of my evangelical friends now, but it's fun. Love you. Have some coffee and switch off now. In my dreams, I've seen pastors come into heaven, pastors, their entire lives, 60 to 70 years of service, come into heaven and not recognize Jesus because they don't know what love looks like. They know what ambition looks like. They know what power looks like. They know what judgment looks like. But he's standing right there and they ask him, which way, where is God? You know, because heaven's not what they think it is. It is a place of absolute consideration. And I've seen people arrive there and recognize Jesus immediately. I saw, I'm sorry, evangelicals, here we go. I love you. I believe what you believe. But I've seen people arrive in heaven. That's why Jesus said, you don't know who is going, who's not. People arrive there. An old man with a bone through his nose, holes like this, old black tribal guy, arrived there and just started, he saw Jesus immediately and just started shouting love in his language over and over and over when he saw Jesus. And Paul says, if you don't know how to love, you got nothing. If your belief system doesn't have love in it, and love doesn't pass judgment, it climbs on a cross and it says, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. Because perspective is everything. Your perspective is rarely right. You know, my little mantra every day starts off with, I know nothing. Because it was me being sure of myself that produced the destruction within myself. It was me eating from the fruit of the tree, the knowledge of good and evil, where I thought I knew who deserved love, who deserved grace, and who deserved mercy. Everybody deserves love. That's the rule. You're not here to convince anybody to believe what you believe. The way that they'll know you belong to God is by how you love, because God is love. Our religion is called love. Our belief system is called love. Everything about who we are is supposed to be love. If we miss it there, you can be the holiest Joe on the planet. You can float off the ground. You can raise the dead. You are nothing. You are an agent of darkness and you don't even know it. But when you love, you will recognize God. You will arrive there and you will see him, and the sheep know the voice of the shepherd. You will know love when you see him. And that is what we ask for the most here, is that in love, you'll think of us. Just the thought of us, just saying they have what they need will help us. Just thinking of us fondly, saying, they're doing a good job down there. And you don't have to phone me to say, hey, you're doing a good job. You just need to think that's a good job. And you just need to say then, Lord, just bless them, like just help them. And just that thought, just that meditation, just that thing goes such a long way.
Are you sure you're not from Unity?
Shh.
Value so value you in my life and in the world, Andrew. I so value what you're doing, and beyond that, the character of the man you are. There are people who really believe what you say could actually happen, that actually one soul could choose to leave and another soul could walk in and step in to do that you really could say, I'm done here. Someone else can come and continue. And there are people that really believe that, whether it's that or it's transformation. It happened before I met you the first time. Because
Yes.
when I met you the first time, you were figuring out what to do in this new life. And you
Yes.
hadn't forgotten your old life, but you were figuring out what this new life was. And you were and have continued to be a blessing in my life and an inspiration. You know, I know what you're doing down there, and I get to talk to you periodically and watch and see what you're posting on Facebook and watch your beautiful family and dream about the day I'm going to get down to South Africa. And because I have to come, because you have 13 more years to go. So if I want to see you in person, we have to come down.
And you got to bring that ridiculously sexy husband of yours.
I will absolutely do that. Let me go alone.
He's
I'm pretty sure.
such a cool dude.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Pretty blessed, you and I. We did pretty well. You know.
Yes, we did.
We were certainly blessed with amazing partners.
Yes, we were.
I want to come down. I want to meet Ahava in person. I want to hug Mandy and hug you and help. So when we finish here, I want to put up a slide and make sure that we include information for how someone can make a donation. So I'm going to make sure that you send that to me so that people know how they can actually help you. And it's pretty easy to make a donation. It's pretty easy. The process is pretty easy. So I want to make sure that we tell people how to do that. There is a name for what you do. There's a name for your place. What do you call it?
We call it EDCC, which stands for Everyday Children's Church. It's Overcomers, EDCC. So Overcomers is the blanket ministry that deals, because we're busy everywhere. But what we're doing here, EDCC, Everyday Children's Church, so it's edcc.africa. And then over there, you'll see an easy giving section where you can choose PayPal or whatever. Again, you know, if you can't give, think of us fondly, you know. That adds a lot of power. You know, we do need a lot of money all the time. We do need a lot of help all the time. And I've settled on this piece where, you know, praise God, you know, I've managed to remove the chaff from my Facebook who fight with me because I ask for stuff all the time. One guy asked me, you know, you're always begging. And I said, well, you're right. I'm always begging because those for whom we beg don't have Facebook. They don't have you on their profile. So, firstly, thank you to everybody who watches us who's already been helping us. Thank you so much, Ahriana. You are such a beautiful, generous soul. It's like an angel, like an angel. You are. I've loved you from the day I met you. You are just a manifestation of kindness and love and consideration. And yeah, but yeah, go and check out the website. I'm on there giving my little speech about, you know, I tried to be as cool as I could. So edcc.africa, that's all. Yeah, that's the only link that you need. It's pretty streamlined. We'd very much like an American partner that's out, cough, cough, but America has become very nervous that everybody needing money in Africa are terrorists.
Andrew, the terrorist.
I think this beard's starting to make me look like.
You didn't have quite so much hair when you were here.
Yeah.
I introduced you in my online introduction as my beatboxing friend. And so I have to explain, I have to impose on you now to do something so that they can understand this amazing side talent that you have.
Well, it's the cross I gladly bear as someone who ministers to young people. I don't know how it'll sound over here. You'll have to tell me.
Okay.
So, okay. Now, if I'm not blushing, it's just a built-in disco light. Goes with when I yeah. Okay, let me try and
This takes preparation, yes.
no, I'm just trying to work up the courage. Okay. So okay. I hope this sounds cool. Here we go. Boom, boom. I'm getting it. Ahriana is very cool in a South African accent. There you go. Terrible.
Awesome. This is your doorway in with almost any kid. I love it.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. Look, you stare at those hard little teenage hearts or those little kids and you go, what is this? What is it? So, and then immediately they look up from their phones. But usually I cheat. I've got nice compression. I've got a beatbox machine, and everything sounds cooler. Yeah, but well, there you go.
Awesome work, my friend. I so appreciate you staying up into the middle of the night to talk with us and to spend time with us. Friends, this is Soul Talk Tuesday. I promise you will meet interesting people every Tuesday you spend with us. And I just say thank you, Andrew. I'll look forward to talking to you again.
Pleasure, honor, anytime. Love you.
Love you too.